This episode on the Mesh.tv is sponsored by The Sock Factory, making quality socks in North Carolina since 1975. Producers of Crazy Compression, William Tucker, and FitSock, The Sock Factory has something for everyone. Find out more at thesockfactory.com.
What you want, when you want it, where you want it. This is The Mesh.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Street Circle Drive here on the Mesh.tv. Thank you for joining us once again on our Hickory-centric podcast. Does that make sense? Hickory-centric? Hickory-focused?
All the above?
Hickory love.
Themed.
Yes, Hickory-themed podcast. Yes. Coming to you from Hickory, North Carolina, of course, here in the Jackson Creative / The Mesh Studios. So, we've got a great little show planned for you today. We're all fat and sassy and full from lunch.
What'd you call me?
How dare you?
Did not call you that.
Yeah.
I said we all are
Okay.
sassy. How about just use full and sassy? From our lunch, which we will get to in a little bit. However, we wanted to just go ahead and start off with thanking our sponsor. Why don't we?
Absolutely. Hello, Street Circle Drive listeners. We'd be remiss without mentioning our sponsor early today. Our sponsor for Street Circle Drive podcast is the Sock Factory, made right here in Hickory, North Carolina by way of Longview. They've been made here in North Carolina since 1975. There's 3 lines of socks available at the Sock Factory. Crazy Compression, William Tucker, and FitSock. You can either go to their facility there in Longview or go to the www.thesockfactory.com website to order yours today.
Yay, socks.
Hey.
Yay,
Sock
socks.
Factory.
I've got mine on, and they color coordinate like you wouldn't believe. Look at those things.
They do. It's
Don't
perfect,
you like 'em?
perfect matching today. And you know what? Who knew that our show was going to be Longview themed?
How about that?
Did not realize that was going to happen, but look at us. You'll all understand soon.
Big little city.
Big little city of Longview. We got lots to offer in Longview, I'll tell you that right now. But we are going to move ahead. We thought that it would be a really neat idea to, in a Hickory-centric podcast, to showcase some area uniqueness, some area fun things, unique things, creative things that Hickory has to offer that not everywhere else does.
That's true.
Pretty excited about that because that's why we're here. That's why we love Hickory. That's why we're talking about it. That's why we want people to listen and spread the good word if you can.
That's right.
Preach it.
Michael made a great point at lunch today that how many,
wow.
I know. This is the only time I'm ever going to give you props on
recorded.
the show, buddy. McNally said at lunch that Hickory only has 40,000 people. Only 40,000 people. But we have the amenities of a city maybe 3 times larger than...
I mean, most don't have what we have here to offer. We've talked about some of it leading up to this show, but you think of not only being the town in a 4-county area that's obviously much larger, and it still has the financial retail center of that region, but we've talked about the Science Center, we've talked about the aquarium, arts museum, Western Piedmont Symphony. I mean, you hear those sort of things, and people don't know that all those things that we have.
The crawdads.
Crawdads. You were making a...
I'm sorry, I was making a
Go-
clawing
and I didn't know what
Crustacean.
you're doing, so I just wanted to make sure I
No, it's a claw symbol. I was making
understand
a claw
now.
now.
Now I
But-
totally see it, and anytime I see that, I'll think
Yes.
of
Hashtag
our crustacean
Crustacean
friends
Nation.
up off of 321.
Yes.
Yeah, minor league baseball's here, college, not only having a private college, having distance ed, community college, but then the sports, athletic, and other music and other events that come with that as well. The river, I mean, it's just the stuff that it just piles on, and you sit there and think, when I bring in people here from other communities, they're always surprised to find out how big Hickory is by numbers.
Agreed. Absolutely agree. Ran into a lot as a Lenore Ryan graduate. I think a lot of people didn't quite realize. Quick story, funny little thing to tell. As a Lenore Ryan alumni, when I lived in South Carolina, the alumni office here asked us if we would be interested in coming to an alumni function if they invited the people. They do that for colleges and wherever you live now, like maybe, you went to ECU and they
Yeah.
maybe have a Catawba County gathering of ECU graduates. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, like
so
a
anyway,
chapter.
Exactly. So they had one in South Carolina where I was, and they asked us to come to it and said, would you kind of be willing to put your name on the invite as the people hosting it, if you will, even though they took care of everything else. I said, absolutely. So I told this little story there because I had a friend who lived there in town with us, and when we first met, it was that typical conversation. Where'd you go to school? Where'd you study? Blah, blah, blah. This girl actually went to University of New Hampshire, which is a fairly large school, big deal up there. And I tell her about Lenore Ryan. She's like, meh, I don't know where that is, but cool, good for you. And so I told her, it's a fairly small school, it's in North Carolina, private school, this and that. Well, then we went downtown one day. We were like just shopping, walking around something. And I run into a girl that lives in the same city at that time. And I knew that and see her and introduce her to my friend. I'm like, oh, hey, we went to Lenore Ryan together. And she's like, oh, great. I actually went to the same church for a while. Our pastor from the church was an Lenore Ryan alumni in South Carolina. I tell this girl, my friend, that, she's like, oh, okay. All right, great. One day at this church, they're inducting new members, and 2 of them went to college with me at Lenore Ryan. So I tell her this at church, and I'm just like, oh, yeah, then we all went to college together. And she's like, okay, listen, you told me this was like some tiny little school in the middle of nowhere, North Carolina. Like,
Small
never heard of
mighty.
it. Yeah. What's the deal? Like, and it's just the community. I feel like that Lenore Ryan encompasses really is coming from what Hickory reflects out. You met a lot of people. It's a small enough school that you kind of knew a lot of people. So that wasn't a surprise. But
you knew everyone. Let's be serious. We knew everybody.
But you were proud of going to Lenore Ryan.
Absolutely.
When you graduated, and I wanted to tell people, and I wasn't embarrassed or anything by it. That's where I went. And look, there was actually a big community of other people that are involved in this region, not even the same state.
And now is that girl enrolled in grad programs through LR or distance in Columbia or somewhere?
That would be amazing, right?
Yeah.
If she just down the road calls and tells me like, oh my gosh, I'm a bear.
I figure you can't beat them.
Yeah, but that was obviously focused around Lenore Ryan, but that's Hickory. That is Hickory. Kind of feel like everybody that moves away has a story about somebody they ran into in their new city from Hickory. So I think we have some pretty neat things to offer. And as you will see in coming episodes, we do over time want to focus on a lot of those. If you have any ideas out there, please feel free to share them with us. You can write in to info@themesh.tv, or you can find us on our website at themesh.tv. And let us know if you have a unique group, a nonprofit,
initiative,
anything, that is unique to Hickory that you think is pretty cool and you want to get the word out about. We'd love to help you out with that. So today we are going to be a little selfish, though.
# shameless plug.
Not scared, not embarrassed by this. Want to tell everybody what they're listening to. It's The Mesh. And, we think we're pretty unique to this area. Now, we are lucky to be hosted, this show is, but we're not the only show. The Mesh is a podcast network that was originally started as a hobby because, quite honestly, we like to listen to podcasts. And so why not make our own?
I lovingly refer to it as our side gig at work.
It is a little bit of a side gig, The Mesh is technically a division of Jackson Creative, which is a video production and multimedia firm here located in downtown Hickory. The Mesh has a studio in the old Harper Motor Company building downtown, located right behind the post office off of First Avenue. Beautiful historic building that we're very happy to be in. But, the goal of starting this podcast up was let's just let people talk about shows or talk about topics that they know about. And you can have a show about it, because that's what podcasting was. When it first got started and was really kind of a buzz, you found a show that you liked listening to that topic, and you were listening to people that wanted to talk. Nobody said they were experts. They just wanted to talk about it. So, although I think we're experts on Hickory.
You're definitely an expert,
okay.
Or else that's why you're running the show.
Okay, I was picking up on that. I keep looking at you guys to talk a little bit, but nobody's saying anything else.
We're just doing so great, Mary-Margaret.
Thank you.
We're just letting you roll with it.
Thank you. All right. So, again, as I said, this network, we thought, well, it's got to be a network because it's got to be lots of different shows for all different people. But the network helps promote each other, cross promotion. That's just what it does. So we formed it up, called up some of our friends, said, let's start this up and see what happens. And not long after that, our phone rings, and it is a gentleman from Apple iTunes.
Wow.
Thank you.
Don't even need a soundboard.
Thank you so
You like
much.
that?
I like that.
I try hard.
iTunes contacted the Mesh, and said, hey guys, we see what you're doing. We see your uploads coming in from this area of North Carolina and this area of the country, essentially. Nobody else is doing that. Especially nobody's creating original content. A lot of this stuff is regurgitated stuff. So take, for example, Mike and Mike in the Morning on ESPN. You can watch that on TV, and then a couple hours later, they strip the video from it and take the audio and put it on their ESPN podcast network. That's regurgitated. It's not original content as a podcast. All of this that you're listening to now is original content through the Mesh. So we're very proud of that. And iTunes asked us to be a featured provider on the podcast area of iTunes. We, of course, accepted, and pretty cool stuff started happening after that with downloads and reach across, honestly, the world. You know, we can watch our downloads, and they're not just from Hickory. They're not just from North Carolina. A couple of our shows, their highest listenership is not even from North Carolina.
Where's the furthest that our listeners come from?
We are listed in over 219 countries, I believe.
Oh.
Yeah. So there's
it?
There's a lot. Yes. And I'll touch on a couple different shows in a bit about how their reach is pretty unique. But we went on to win a local competition called the Edison Competition. This is a entrepreneur innovation idea competition sponsored through the Chamber of Commerce here in Catawba County. And the Mesh won and had some great feedback from it, gained some listeners, I believe, and really just helped us start to see, we developed business plan for it and everything else. So that's kind of how it all started coming about. And then we've grown with different shows since then, made adjustments, moved our studio a couple of times, trying to keep it as fresh as possible. And obviously our newest brainchild of the Mesh is StreetCircleDrive.
And here we
Happy
are.
to be here with you fine folks.
Absolutely.
Are you sure?
I am.
Okay, good.
I am. Absolutely.
Are you going to let any of us talk anymore?
Well,
or?
are you going to have anything to say? You just
Yeah,
sort
of
of sit
course.
there staring at me with a pretty smile.
Well, thank you. I appreciate
Yes.
anything that I can get from you, Mary-Margaret.
Mm-hmm.
I think the best part about the Mesh and podcasting in general is that we can provide such a wide variety of content. Like you said, that, podcasting was started by, singular topics and interest groups forming podcasts to be able to talk about those things. And, just looking out at the Mesh website right now, I mean, we have, right now, how many shows that are completely active? 10 or 12 probably that we do?
It depends. The beautiful thing about podcasting is that once a show is recorded, it's up on the internet.
Right. It's
forever.
archived. Yeah, for sure. Just looking at a few of them, Bald and the Beautiful looks pretty good.
It's not active, but it for its short run, it reached a very wide audience of at least a dozen.
Right.
Yes, there was.
This is Moose poking at McNally.
Yes,
Yes.
that was my short-lived start in the podcast world.
Well, everybody's got to try it out. Everybody's got to see what happens. Everybody's got to find their niche on it.
I had to cut that dead weight pulley.
That's what I hear. Hope he's listening right
Powerful
now.
bully.
Yep. Our reach grows.
Some of our top shows right now, just to give people a heads up to go check them out. If anything, Fantasy Formula is real hot right now
Yes, it is.
because it is football season.
McNally and I guest spotted that show a couple weeks ago, did another crossover edition. McNally, how'd you do on those picks that week?
I did not do as good as I was hoping to, but sometimes you have to have. I want to make sure there's
a building block.
opposing
It's a building
viewpoints
block.
on
Of
the
course.
show. It's not about always
Of course.
being right. It's about having opposing viewpoints and discussion and really thought.
You made 13 picks there. How many? What was your record that week?
Was there 13?
It was 13. I went 7-6. That's the only reason I remember.
I either went 3-9 or 4-9 or 3-10.
Right. And that's why McNally is on Street Circle Drive and not Fantasy Formula.
Absolutely.
Bless your heart, McNally.
Fantasy Formula.
That's all right. You don't pick games for a living. That's not your deal.
Nope, that's
Well,
true.
we do have two guys on there.
We do. Yeah, Hank and Chad are great.
This is Hank Eimer and Chad East in our community who come in once a week, talk through, one, what's been going on in their lives, which is usually fairly amusing. And then two, they kind of go through the upcoming games for the week, talk about the best picks, talk to you about your draft in the beginning.
Right.
But then also what players to move around and everything else for the week.
On your fantasy football team, right?
Absolutely. So they take care of that. Another show, ACAP Community.
Right. Yeah. ACAP Community is something so unique. Just a little background information. It's hosted by Miss Frances Hall of the ACAP Community Organization, and the podcast revolves around taking care of your aging parents. It hits really close to home for me because it's basically a show that gives you comfort. It lets you know that not only are you going through this, that other people are going through this too. Mm-hmm. And it's really great to have maybe even an outside point of view for something like that, especially if you're dealing with elderly parent, et cetera, like that. Especially with those ongoing circumstances, and they go into everything. How to deal with insurance to making them comfortable at home. It covers a wide gamut, and we're very lucky to have Francis and ACAP Community on our network. But
it's one of those shows that you're not quite sure at first, like who's going to listen to this, and then it turns out everybody listens to it.
Sure, there's a lot of folks listening to that.
Everybody's going to have to deal with it.
Right, yeah. For sure. But something on the complete opposite spectrum that is one of our most downloaded shows is Storytime Station, which is a podcast that does have a video component, and we go around to local children's books authors and get the books from them, and we read them on the podcast and have the video component of all the artwork that's in the book. And you can download those off the Mesh.tv. They're also on YouTube. So go check those out, especially if you have the little ones and you're looking at a 5-hour road trip for Thanksgiving.
Best thing about that is being able to download those to your device and have them on there, because then you don't need the internet to play them. And these are stories for your kids, books, and some of our favorite ones to recommend that I would say is definitely Fancy Pants.
Oh,
absolutely,
Pants.
Go read Fancy Pants. It is something your kids will know the rhyme to it. And something else neat that I think we do on Storytime Station is we have local celebrities, if you will, I guess you should say, local people that have something to say. Come on and tell a story. And it's really neat to see them. They get a little plug as well. So we're always looking for new books on that one. But Storytime Station is definitely a hot download for the Mesh.
The most recent one was Wally the Wayward Sea Turtle. And that was, I mean that's must listen to podcast.
How can you not enjoy this? And,
it sounds like you can download these and entertain Moose after a large lunch out somewhere.
I'm pretty sure he already does it himself.
Right.
Yeah. Sitting in there listening to Storytime Station.
Don't just blame it on the kids, Moose.
That's right. Hey, somebody's got to listen to Lulu the Snow Goat.
Hey, that's a good one.
It is a good one.
Lulu the Snow Goat.
It was a good one. That was one of the podcasts that we did right as soon as I joined Jackson Creative. That was one of the first ones, and I was like, oh, this is different. And
this is where I want to be.
Yeah, this is special. Yeah, yes. For
sure. Something else, another show that we would encourage other people to check out is Entrepreneur Exchange, hosted by two gentlemen over with the Small Business Center at CVCC, and Gary and Jeff. They have a lot of fun. It's all about promoting entrepreneurs and their business ideas and how it came about and what they're doing to promote, and really just encouraging small business in the area and beyond the area. They had some people on recently that started just a little t-shirt company and They do all of their marketing mainly through Instagram. And so they talked about that. And, how has this become now a job for this stay-at-home mom who was doing it as a little extra income before. But these guys also spotlight a business of the month, and they take a business that they've either visited or have read about or heard about, spotlight them and tell you a little about it. And they're pretty funny too. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So definitely check out Entrepreneur Exchange. What else?
I'm with the band.
Oh, hey, I know that one.
Hey, I know that one too. I'm with the band is
you really are with the band too.
Pardon?
And you really are with the band.
Yeah, I am really are with the band.
And that's the name of the
We
pod.
actually, the last I'm with the band that we recorded was with Porch 40, and those guys are killing it right now. They're playing all kinds of huge festivals around the country and are doing really, really well. That I got to remember who they're opening up for. It's pretty soon.
The show I'm with the band obviously spotlights a band that is pretty up and coming. We've had some national touring bands in here.
Not always from here.
Nope, absolutely
Winger.
not. We have had Winger on the show. That's right, from the 80s. Everybody knows who Winger is. She's Only 17 was their biggest hit, and they've been on the show. We have done a live feed from the Bret Michaels concert. We have had Yarn, who's a national touring act.
Yarn's a great band, yeah, for sure.
8-piece band that came in here and hung out with us for a little bit. Just lots of bands to mention, but definitely go check it out. There is one episode with a Andrew Moose featured on there.
Oh, yeah, with the old band, the Woodersons, yeah.
Mm-hmm. So that is something to check out. But we enjoy it because we like music. We like local bands, like finding new talent. And there you have I'm with the band.
For sure. And one of the podcasts that we'd like to feature today is Footcandle Film Society and Footcandle Films. We'd like to welcome Mr. Chris Fry to the show. Welcome, Chris.
So now's the part where I start talking.
Yay! Welcome, Chris.
Welcome, Chris.
Now you can breathe heavily into the mic, yes.
You might recognize Chris from the podcast Footcandle Films.
What is Footcandle Films?
So you may be able to tell from the title we talk about films.
Hey!
And the good thing is it's not just the big movies that hit the movie theater. So yeah, we did discuss Thor Ragnarok, but then we also discuss movies you might not have heard of. And that's kind of I like reviewing and talking about movies all the time. That's how we kind of came up with the show. The guy, Alan Jackson, the guy that I co-host the show with, we do it anyway. So, we talk about movies constantly, so it's kind of like, well, why don't we were starting up the Mesh that you were talking about, and it was like, well, here's a show we know we can do. We know we can talk about movies, stick a mic in front of us, turn it on, and there it was.
Just record your normal conversation as it is.
Exactly. And we had to limit it to only like an hour, as opposed to we could probably do, 3 hours.
Absolutely.
So, but it's fun.
Well, so where did Footcandle Films come from? What is that?
So, okay. The two-part question. What is that? It is a measurement of light. The foot candle is like if you are doing photography, you have a light meter, and it measures light in lumens and foot candles. So that's what a foot candle is. Now, what does that have to do with films? Well, I'd always wanted to name something foot candle because I thought it was a cool term. It doesn't really make any sense because you think of a foot, and it just doesn't make any sense. I tried to name Jackson Creative, actually, a long time ago. I tried to name it like Foot Candle Video, and it didn't sound right. Just calling it Foot Candle
doesn't flow. People
won't know what the heck it is, so no. But
you get shot down. I get shot down in this office a lot.
It just happens.
Where Footcandle Films, the podcast, actually gets its name from is there's a film society, and I got to name that and Footcandle stuff.
Ta-da! You got your wish.
Winner,
Good for
winner.
you.
Hooray.
Tell us a little bit about Footcandle Film Society.
So that is also something that, I would like to think is a feather in Hickory's cap.
Absolutely.
Been around since 2008, so we're coming up on our 10-year anniversary. And we get together twice a month and show a movie, and then afterwards we hold a discussion. We started out in 2008 with 10 or 15 people. It was slow going. Mm-hmm. But now we've got over 600 members, and we've got a wait list of over
80
or 90 names. So it's awesome.
That's very cool.
That's very, very cool. Obviously we all are versed in it, but I don't think people understand maybe the magnitude of this. I mean, like you said, you have 600 members who come to a showing of a unique movie, maybe a film that has not come to the mainstream theaters, correct?
Absolutely.
So I know I've been to some of your special showings as well, which you've partnered a lot with community organizations in the area on homelessness video or a hunger one to help those organizations. But in the grand scheme of things, I mean, you guys are killing it. You are not able to actually promote your screenings all that much because
That's true.
the average Joe can't get in there without a membership.
Right. And hopefully we have grown so much that we're looking at trying to do something a little different so that we don't actually have to have memberships. Anybody can walk in off the street. But it's a good problem.
It's a stay tuned conversation, right?
Absolutely.
But, obviously there's something to it. It's working. Right. So, as we have promoted in the past on Street Circle Drive, there is a film festival that goes along with this. Give us a little insight to that.
So we started the Film Society, and I've always wanted to go to a film festival, but, somehow my tickets haven't come in to go to Sundance. Or
Shame.
It's unfortunate.
maybe one day. But we had members come up and ask us, like, hey, we should do a film festival. We're like, well, okay, but let's just get through only having 15 people in the audience first. And then we'll build towards that. So, 2015, we had our first film festival. And it was successful. So we've had one 16, 17, and we're going to have one in 2018. So, and the idea behind that, you mentioned monthly we get movies that don't come to, like, the big movie theater, the multiplex. So the film festival is usually people's first or second film, and no one's heard of them. But that's awesome because people get to see stuff before these people get to be big names. And we didn't realize it, but we were very fortunate through the wonder of the internet. Our first year, we had films from, of course, all over the United States, but we also had films from Germany, Japan. Like, we had international films, and we had no idea that we would get that type of stuff in. So we were really lucky. And then in the past years, we've had people actually travel from Germany, the filmmakers who actually came to Hickory to, like, talk about their film, which was awesome.
Yeah, I think that's the coolest part about it is having someone that was, immersed in the film, able to be available to your audience to talk about it. I mean, that's
the
something
guys
else.
that came over from Germany. It was funny. They went to New York to, like, do their film. They went out to L.A. And actually, I think it was L.A., New York, and then their last stop before heading back to Germany was Hickory, North Carolina. So
I love that.
They were showing their film around.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
that's, it's great for Hickory, but in all honesty, these people are doing what they got to do to get their film shown as many times as possible. That's really, hey, you're going to show my video, I will come there. I will let you see my film. A lot of us have been very lucky to be in the audience for these screenings and for the film festival. So, something I've always thought is very unique and cool to this is that after the film, there's a discussion. And I've been in some heated discussions in there. I've seen some ones where there are people that, there are people that are super, super passionate about their opinion about what just happened in that film. And I'm taking it back just a little bit. There was one that I was there for, and I can't remember the name of it, but
I have it pulled up right here.
Describe
is it this year?
No, not on the festival. This was a screening.
Oh.
This was is it like The Hero or something like that? It was a wrestling movie.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. And
it was The Wrestler, probably.
Yes. And you had,
that
and
was a good one.
what was the guy's name? Mickey
Rourke.
Mickey Rourke in it, yes. Brilliant, I thought. Okay.
Too real.
Yeah.
There really
was a person in the audience, one who, like, is extremely involved in wrestling. And then there was also someone who does costumes.
Okay.
In the audience. And, these people were so passionate about it. And then to see this film, this was their life, and then to hear somebody maybe criticize the film a little bit on a section and these people just lit up in the audience, that's not true. You should see this, and that. Oh, it was great. I love it. I just kept eating my popcorn and enjoying it. But I really, really enjoy that. The rules of Footcandle have been to stay through the credits,
Sure.
to give credit where credit is due, obviously. Everybody stays through the credits, watches that, and then the discussion is optional.
That's right.
Yeah.
Hey, Chris, how do you guys select the movies that you're going to show in the film festival or in the screenings themselves?
screenings.
Yeah.
Okay, so monthly screenings, basically, Alan and I just kind of put our ear to the ground and try to hear as many different independent films that are coming out. And then out of that list, we give it to a distributor and say, hey, which one can we have? And she'll pick and say, okay, you can have this one. So that's kind of how we do it. And I say we listen to other podcasts. We look at news online, and we just try to see what's coming out that looks like it's going to be good. But that's kind of the cool thing. We put it on the line because we haven't seen it. So we watch it for the first time and we show it, and then if we don't like it, we can sit up and honestly say, hey, what'd you guys think? We're like, yeah, I wasn't that big of a fan of this.
Right.
But it's kind of like, we hadn't seen it, so we don't know.
Oh, that's cool.
Trying to throw it up there. For the festival, we have a screening committee because we get over like 250 films in. And so...
So you watch all of them. You watch all of them.
I am one of the people that watch. Most of the screening committee will watch like 80% of them, but as long as 3 people watch every movie, the ratings float to the top. Whatever's the top comes. But yes, I'm one of the sad souls that watches all 250.
You dig it. You dig it.
Well, thank goodness not all of them are features. Some of them are short films.
Sure,
Yes.
right.
You don't have to watch like 5 minutes. But yeah, other times it's like a 2-hour film. So.
Yeah.
Mary-Margaret and I went to the Friday screening of the festival, and we watched 2, Longing for a Kiss and The Cinema Travelers. The one that hit home for me was The Cinema Travelers because it was just a little backstory. It's about a group of traveling folks that in India that take movies from town to town and set up tents and charge people nickel and go in there. And not only was it about those folks, it was about the plight of the industry of taking movies from a town from town to town in this, taking old projectors with old film reels to the segueing into like a projector and having to actually like lose employees because they don't need folks to fix projectors anymore, and et cetera, et cetera. And I thought it was just, I thought it was great. And that was my favorite one that I saw this year for sure.
I really liked that one as well.
Yeah.
I mean, I like movies, so of course I'm going to like something about
right.
movies, but yeah.
Yeah, it's a really cool concept, again, of Footcandle Society. The excitement of, am I going to get off the waiting list, and be a real member? I mean, that's a big deal. 600 people, and you guys have had to go to 2 nights showing back to back.
Originally, we were lucky to have 15 people, so we only did 1 night. And then eventually, to get people off a wait list, we opened up to 2 nights. And then that's as much as the theater's willing to let us have now. So that's why we have a wait list again.
Yeah,
but,
yeah.
We're trying to work around it. So.
I know that you also do some really cool stuff around Oscar time.
Yeah, we have an Oscar party, and we let the members they have their Oscar picks, and then whoever wins the Oscars, meaning they pick the most correct, they get like a gift card or something to a restaurant.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we try to make it fun.
Cool time. And obviously a lot of these films that are nowadays in the Oscar running are not always the ones that come to Hickory to the multiplex, like you said. So I know in the past you guys have brought some of these films.
Well, one of the ones we were really proud we got to bring was Moonlight.
Correct,
And
yes.
so stuff like that, sometimes more and more, independent films are getting to the Oscars, but a lot of times, it's a chance for people to see those, and then when the Oscars finally come around, they're like, oh, yeah, we saw that.
Right.
Because we're actually able to bring them. So
Which is very cool. Very cool. Yeah. McNally looks like you're impressed. Are you learning some new stuff?
Oh, all of it. I'm sitting here like a fan of just the whole process of what it takes to go into this, because that was the big question I had, is just you hear of these films, and if you're someone like me, just, John Q sitting out there, oh, okay, well, what's at our theater? And you hear of these things of, small releases and only so many theaters, or some that are, you hear of independent films, and you hear of these different festivals, and all of it just doesn't mean anything. And then, which they're fine, I've watched them, but then I'm stuck with, oh, all right, here's another Marvel movie.
Absolutely.
It's an interesting point where Marvel movie, you mentioned, and I mentioned Thor Ragnarok. Okay, that movie was done by a guy named Taika Waititi. It's his first big movie. We showed Hunt for the Wilder People, which was his movie right before Thor, and it was awesome. It's funny. It's like a comedy that takes place in New Zealand, and our crowd loved it. And we said, well, glad you like it. Keep in mind, this guy's going to be doing a Marvel movie. And everyone's like, what? And we're like, yeah, it's actually got a huge budget movie that's going to come out. It'll be out in another year or so. Be looking for it. And yeah, now it's out, and people are like, who is this dude? And he gets this huge movie. So that was kind of a neat thing to be able to know the director, and because he has a very interesting style. And I was excited because he does comedies. That's what he does. And so for Marvel to be like, yeah, okay, we want you to turn a Thor movie into a comedy, you know? And so, yeah, I liked it. I saw it. I liked it. So some people
You liked Thor.
You know, the weird thing is I don't really care for a lot of superhero movies, but the Thor movies have been, I think because they're just so odd and weird, but I really liked Thor Ragnarok. The other two were okay, but I really liked Thor Ragnarok a lot. But it has to do with the fact that it's just different.
Yeah.
It's a comedy element to it.
Yeah, I mean, it was a comedy. It doesn't really make a lot of sense, and they're like, we're okay with that, and they just try to be funny, but still, you know, tell a little bit of a story as far as like, you know, bad guys and good guys. But it was fun, definitely different.
So if people tune in to the Mesh and find Footcandle Films, what format are they going to hear on the show? What do you guys talk about?
So generally, we start off the show with reviews, and we normally do 2, but sometimes we do 3 movies, just depending on how many we've seen and how much we have to say about them. So general format, we start off with like 3 reviews. Then we'll do news items of like upcoming things about directors or upcoming movies you might want to check out. And then we always end the show with recommendations.
Excellent.
And actually, I'll give you a little bit of movie news that I forgot to mention on our most recent episode.
Oh, we'll take it. So
the guy I mentioned, Taika Waititi, who's done Thor Ragnarok, his next movie is going to be about... Let me tell you the name of it and see if you can tell me what it's going to be about. It's called Bubbles. What's it going to be about? Mary-Margaret, you should know this because you do Chick Chat. That's another podcast on the Mesh, by the way.
Bubbles?
Oh yeah, we didn't bump
I know.
Chick
I didn't
Chat.
want to say anything. I was waiting to see if it was like top of mind for you, but whatever. It's cool. We'll
Moose subscribes.
It's fine.
Absolutely.
Whatever.
I want to know what my boss is talking about.
Bubbles.
So it is a movie all about Michael Jackson's Chimp.
Oh,
And it's
I was
all-
going to say that.
All from the perspective
Of the chimp?
No.
And it's called Bubbles. And this guy's doing it. Can't freaking wait.
I will
so
make that happen. Absolutely.
What a great concept. What a great concept.
Yep.
The things that monkey saw.
Exactly. And it's all from like...
I can't wait.
Yeah, it's called Bubbles.
I'm intrigued.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh man, Macaulay Culkin, watch out, man. He knows it. He knows some things.
There is. This is a hot time of year for movies coming out. What are some of your? Are there any movies we should be on the lookout for coming up, or anything that you recommend from the past for us?
Well, ones that are coming out, because November, December, those are always where they kind of drop the Oscar movies and hope that they really take off. So you have Darkest Hour, and that's Gary Oldman as Winston Churchill. That's coming out in November. You have Shape of Water, which is like a weird science fiction / kind of horror thing, but it's done by Guillermo del Toro, who did a bunch of movies that I'm blanking on right now. Pacific Rim is probably the most recent one with the giant fighting robots. But Shape of Water, I'm not going to say too much about it, but it's getting a lot of buzz from festivals like Cannes and stuff like that. So I think it's going to be big. Plus the fact they're deciding to kind of put it in December, I think kind of says, hey, you may want to watch this. I, Tonya, which is a dark comedy about Tonya Harding. Yeah.
Can't wait.
Yeah, so that's probably going to be big. And then the other two, one of which you may not know of, the other one you definitely do. Star Wars Last Jedi, of course.
I've heard
What's
of that.
that?
Heard of that.
Exactly. But then Phantom Thread, which is Daniel Day-Lewis' supposedly last movie. Well, he's already said he'd quit acting, but then the director's like, come on, come back
One
and do
more.
this.
It's crazy.
One more.
Last of the Mohicans is one of my favorite movies.
Okay.
Which
My co-host was
stars
actually
Alan
in it.
Jackson.
Yeah,
By
Alan
the
Jackson
way.
was in that movie, right?
Yeah.
An
Yes.
extra, but yeah,
French soldier.
There you go. So those are some movies that are coming up that you might want to, keep an eye on.
Okay. Do you have any special recommendation of something while we're cozied up at home over the holidays by a fire, of something that, even from the past, that we should check out? Just to give us a little something that's out of Chris Fry's head.
Wow. See, listening to the podcast, I like really strange movies. So cozying up with the family, maybe not.
Okay, fair enough.
Okay, your kids aren't home and your wife's out with her friends. What are you watching?
A good family movie, around the holidays, I always like Elf, which is much more my genre type thing, is Nightmare Before Christmas. Because is it a Halloween movie? Is it a Christmas movie? Love that movie.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Those are general recommendations.
Okay.
I just got finished watching T2 Trainspotting, which is the sequel to Trainspotting.
Yes.
If you
I
liked
love Trainspotting.
okay, good. You liked Trainspotting. It came out about 20 years ago, I think. I really liked that, but I was in college at the time, and it deals really heavily with drugs and stuff. Well, now this is 20 years later. Got all the original cast.
Same people.
Absolutely.
Oh, wow.
Same cast is back, and it's kind of looking at where these people are now.
Oh, nice.
And it is really well done. And, oddly moving with air quotes. Because, it's just something about you enjoyed the original Trainspotting. And yes, you could say it kind of glorified drugs to some extent because it was like a big, long music video. But you still knew drugs were bad. I mean, we're talking about heroin. Now with this movie 20 years later, you see these people and kind of what's become of them. And it's, I have to say, it's probably one of the better sequels I think I've ever seen in my life.
Wow.
And maybe...
Big talk coming from Chris Fry.
I'd have to go back and watch the original.
I was going to say, would you say you have to do that first, or?
No, I didn't.
Okay.
But what I was going to say is I'd have to go back and watch the original and see if it's actually better.
Okay.
I think it may be, but that may be just because I'm an adult now, and if I were to watch the other one, I'd be like, dude, that's not cool. Those guys are idiots. They're doing heroin. So it's kind of where you're at in life. But that's the whole thing about the movie is like these guys keep trying to live like they were 20 years ago. It didn't work out so well. So
we don't know anything about that, do we, guys?
So
Nice.
that's when I would recommend people. And it actually came out in 2017, and not a lot of people I think knew about it or heard about it. But and it's the same guy, it's Danny Boyle who did Slumdog Millionaire,
Yes,
and some other movies that have been like big, huge movies. And for him to go back and do this, I think is kind of cool. So
Very
I think
cool.
he won Oscars with Slumdog Millionaire.
Yes.
Actually. So
Yes.
There's that. But
I love that. Thank you very much for that. And
awesome.
obviously, thank you for the info on Footcandle Films on the Mesh.
And Bubbles.
And Bubbles. Yes. Everybody, please make a mental note for Bubbles. Can't wait. Now we're going to have to take a Street Circle Drive field trip to go watch Bubbles, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Excellent. Okay. So
That'll be a
thank
more
you.
successful one than Hickory Haunts, right, Moose?
Oh, man. I still didn't go to that. I hope they did well, Hickory
Which
Haunts.
will never happen.
Yeah, I'm not going to that.
For Moose.
Yeah, I hope everybody went.
Well, again, thank you so much to Chris Fry from Footcandle Films and Footcandle Film Society. Please, please, please go check out their podcast here on themesh.tv. Got some good holiday editions coming up. You actually have a crossover episode that you guys do every year with Entrepreneur Exchange talking about a holiday movie, correct?
That's correct.
So that is coming up soon. You guys can be on the lookout for that.
And if you're looking for more general, we can gather the family around,
Yes.
a lot of times those movies do
That
skew
hits on
more
that.
way.
Great.
So, yeah.
Good. And then to know more about the Film Society and the festivals coming up, where can they find out more?
Probably the best place is footcandle.org. That's the Film Society. And then the film festival is footcandlefilmfestival.com. But that's really long. So if you go to footcandle.org, you can get there.
Can redirect. Excellent. Okay. Well, thank you very much. And that is what the Mesh is in a little nutshell.
Where'd the name come from?
The name came from different words. What's it called when you have
An acronym?
no? Is it acronyms like NASA, right?
Right.
No. This is it synonyms that are same? Words that mean the same thing in other ways of saying them? Mm-hmm. And you use a thesaurus for that?
You do?
Correct.
Okay. So I went on a thesaurus and put the word network in. And mesh was one of them because of a lot of things intertwined,
Interwoven.
mixed together. Yep. And I thought it made some sense because most microphones involve some sort of mesh material on them when it comes to how it's wired, how it's the shape of it, things like that. So the mesh, and it flew. It picked off. Everybody was cool with it, and it was easy to say. One syllable is always good.
I was always wondering, so
Yeah,
I figured. I'm
that's
glad
it.
I didn't stump you.
Hey, nope, I was there for it. I was there for the birth. I saw
Good.
it happen.
Good.
Yeah. Thanks so much, everybody that has been listening to The Mesh already. But now.
The moment you've all been waiting for.
Absolutely.
The Street Circle Drive lunch review.
The hot topic every episode. Chris is here at the table, and we can say that Chris has not been to this place.
That's
so
correct.
We're anxious to see if Chris wants to go this place after we talk
We're going
about
to try
it.
to convince him or dissuade him from going. Today, McNally, Mary-Margaret, and I went to the Angus. It's located on Highway 70, right in Longview, and it. Mary-Margaret, how long has it been there?
Since 1965.
1965. The Angus is something else. A little bit for everybody. It's got, for the most part, steak. People go there for their steak. McNally and Mary-Margaret both had steaks, and they're going to tell you what they thought
Steak
of them.
for lunch.
Steak for lunch.
Can't go wrong.
No. And, and it's the Angus, and let's not be confused by the fancy Angus that's in, like, Raleigh, right? Like,
That's the Angus barn.
The Angus barn. Okay, so see.
That's my home turf. So
yes,
I
and that's fancy,
that's
I knew people that went
you got to
to
save
Raleigh.
up a little bit to go
That's
to the
like you
Angus
got a
barn.
new
And
job
it's-
and you're
and it's
celebrating the place.
The Angus barn is also world renowned for their wine selection. They have a wine
Okay.
cellar that is just out of this world
Excellent.
renowned.
Good
So,
to know. So
Different
don't confuse.
ends of the spectrum.
Absolutely. Don't confuse that, because this, when you hear Angus, obviously steer, cow, meat, steak, right?
Yes. And they had the lunch menu with, sandwich. I say sandwiches. I mean,
Yeah.
they had
Well,
I don't
let's
remember
just-
all of it. Moose might be able to help us out. I went in there and I said,
Steak.
when in Rome,
Yeah, you eat steak.
eat steak.
Right.
Because let's not be misleading about this. There's only 2 steaks on the menu, a small
Just
and a
two.
large.
Yes.
Right.
And that's it. I mean, if you want steak.
You both had small, otherwise you'd be
No,
asleep right now.
no, I had
Large.
no.
Oh,
I had small.
this
I wasn't going to let her beat me or tie me with the
Yeah.
small, so I went,
Okay.
and for only $2 more, $2.75
Yeah.
more.
I think that was well worth the $2
Well worth it.
extra.
It
Yeah,
is
for sure.
It is a visible difference of small to large. But
And it was
to
all in
back
the
up,
thickness too. It was great.
yeah, absolutely. To back up just a little bit, the menu when you walk into the Angus, which you will, as Moose said when we got there, you walk into a little bit of a time warp,
It is.
right?
I don't know how to describe it the best. It's almost like a Meat and Three meets Roadhouse.
Roadhouse, absolutely.
And a maybe
It's like
even
you're
a
missing
little
the
bit of a
chicken bar.
high scale, because there are red tablecloths.
Tablecloths
But
on all the tables.
The mirrored beer signs and is
The old jukebox. There's
what's digital
still
juice
work?
box? It's a
Yes.
digital.
Oh,
It's
it's
digital. It's
Sorry,
digital
yeah, it's
jukebox.
digital. But it is a jukebox playing. While we were there, it was
Country.
all old
Yeah,
country music.
like Highwaymen, Willie Nelson. Well,
Yeah.
Willie is Highwaymen, but just
then
that genre.
Yeah, there's neon signs everywhere.
There is.
The lights are dim. There are. There's 2 rooms. One that has the bar in it.
Mm-hmm.
And tables to sit at. And then the other room is what I would consider more the family room, right? That's where my family sits
Has the
every
big
time we go.
screen TV.
There's a big screen TV in there. And it's on, usually playing something like Grit Channel or Spike TV, whatnot, movies like Karate Kid
What was playing
and
today?
Unknown Movie.
I
but
wish
there
it was
wasn't.
Roadhouse.
There was
That would've been
lightsabers in the movie.
perfect.
There was-
There was lightsabers in the movie.
Really?
So I'm assuming it was some sort of
Interesting.
Star Wars.
Okay, so that was on today, and the menu you do walk up to the counter when you get there and order.
That's a first in a steakhouse experience for me.
Yeah, we're giving everybody a heads up on that because you don't want to look like the rookie walking in there,
Goes to sit down. Yeah.
right? And waits on being waited on. Why don't you want to be the rookie in there?
Because they will
you'll-
give you some grief.
Because you get called out like I got called out. That's what happens.
Yes. Not soup Nazi style,
No.
but it in a very lighthearted comedy. They're just good, down home, Hickory Longview folks that
It
are
is-
just go there and
yeah.
have fun and serve
Absolutely.
good food.
It is family run. The menu, you walk up to the counter, the menu goes hot dogs, hamburgers.
Is the menu on one of those
Yes.
white plastic things
Press
with the
board.
Pepsi in the middle? Yeah.
Yes.
God, you nailed it. You sure you hadn't been there?
That's absolutely
But
what
I'm
it
getting
is.
excited about going.
Yes.
Wouldn't that be a first for a steakhouse for you?
Yes.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes. There are, it basically goes hot dogs, hamburgers, chicken sandwiches, BLTs, like this on the far left-hand side. In the middle, it says ground steak, small steak, large steak.
Okay.
That's it. Okay?
Okay.
And then on the other side, there's salads and sides, such as onion rings, mozzarella sticks, French fries, things like that. Okay? So you go place your order, have a seat, and most of the meals, I don't say most of the meals, the steaks come with a salad, and it's a chopped salad, which is a big deal. Big deal in my family, at least. Chopped salad's good stuff. And it comes with a big old pickle on the top of it.
Yep.
That's
Sliced hamburger deals. My mom used to call those type salads Western steer salads, where it was.
It is.
It's like chopped lettuce for the most part, and then there's like 2 or 3 vegetables in there.
tomatoes, carrots, cucumber, like the standard.
Right. There was a little pepper in mine. On top with sliced little piece of dill pickle. It was great.
So good.
It's great.
So
I mean,
good.
chopped salad's good. You get good dressing coverage.
Yeah, for sure, and it's nice to pass the time as you're waiting. I had a chicken sandwich that was fantastic with a side of the boiled potato, and it's good. It's real good.
Good old sandwich for you. Good old potato salad to go with it, which you ordered separately.
That's
after your order.
After I saw McNally and Mary-Margaret salad, I had to get one because it just brought back fond memories.
Yes. McNally and I got steaks.
Oh, yeah.
You went large, I went small.
Go big or go home.
That's right. And got the salad, and we each had the boiled potato with it as well.
Yes.
As a first timer,
Boiled potato.
Exactly. And there really wasn't much of a discussion when said potato was ordered. So I
We didn't have much of a choice, by the way.
I ordered the steak.
Right.
And that's how to be cooked, and like any good American, medium rare. And then he said, okay, steak, potato. Okay, I guess I'm having potato. And would I like salad? And I had to tell him dressing. And then so it was delivered. And you're used to getting your plate with the steak and your baked potato and this really was I'll be generous and say a medium-sized red skin boiled potato cut in half with a little bit of butter in it. So it's almost like
a
slip.
What do they call it? A slab of butter, where
slab
it's like you
inside
slice it, go.
So it was almost like, all right, we're going to see if we can trick this person and make him think he's getting a baked potato.
Right.
But they didn't know who they were talking to.
To be fair,
obviously.
you didn't have any other options. Like
They told us upon arrival that they were waiting on a truck to deliver
They
their
did.
French
and
fries.
I wouldn't have gotten French fries or onion rings with a steak anyway.
Agreed.
So it didn't. That didn't bother me. But the non-baked potato, a part of my potato, threw me off a little bit.
So as a newcomer there, what did your stomach do when you heard that sizzle come around the corner?
Okay, yeah, they do. When they brought out the steak plates, the black plastic holding the silver metal, and the steak
it's like
still
a fajita
sizzling.
plate. I don't know what you call that.
Cast
it was
iron.
like that.
Cast iron.
Is it cast iron? Yeah.
I think it's being generous, but yeah, we'll go for that. But I will say, a la Ruth's Chris, where they bring it out and it's still sizzling. I mean, you hear it audibly like a fajita, and it was cooked exactly the way. Now I'm glad I got the larger one because thicker piece of steak. It was easier for them to cook it the way I liked it. It had grilled onions on top, which I didn't know, but that gets good flavor. I could scrape them off. They really didn't do anything to the steak. I mean, they might have a little bit of salt and pepper, but I mean, they let the steak speak for itself with the onions on there.
Yeah.
So
onions, no mushrooms.
No mushrooms. It was just the grilled onions.
You can get mushrooms.
Okay.
It's on the little sides menu up there, and like peppers and stuff too, I believe. But it comes standard with the onions.
Just onions.
Just the onions. So yeah, that was the plate. My little potato and a good sized steak. I mean, it doesn't tell you ounces or anything when you're up there ordering. Like I said, it was only a couple bucks more than the junior, and I wasn't going to be shown up by Mary-Margaret at a steakhouse.
Yes. I have been there many, many times. Okay, my children love it.
She was very excited when this was.
This was Mary-Margaret's choice.
This was my hot ticket. I love it. We love the Angus. My kids can get hot dogs, hamburgers. My girls like salads, so they can do that. I was telling McNally as we were leaving, we were kind of discussing. So, well, how's this rank? Like, where, you paid $20 for a steak, close to it, but you get a salad and bread and potato with it. But
that was
the thing
$20
is,
for the big steak or the small steak?
Small steak.
I walked out of there with tip just for me. I got a soda, and it was $30.
Yeah.
So
really?
Yeah.
And I went, But that was tip and everything included. I went.
My bill was $26.
Is that new world record for Circle Street?
Oh, that's a record for this, without, especially not considering it wasn't multiple
Correct.
orders,
Yes.
which I have been known to do before.
Sure.
I would say, I mean, that price, while not outlandish, I get where Mary-Margaret's going to come with, is the whole ambiance of Roadhouse meets steakhouse. But for $30, you can kind of do like a, I grew up, Raleigh, I'm used to like the Peddler, the Angus Barn, not to be confused, the more those sort of things. And you wouldn't get a $30 steak there, but Peddler, you might get close to that with a salad bar or whatnot. So, I mean, I was a little surprised by the price.
Right.
But I will say, I would have been upset if it would have been and we've all had this, like a flimsy, overcooked steak with no flavor. And that was not the case with this.
So you enjoyed the steak itself?
Very much so.
Okay. So here's my thoughts on it. Like I was saying, since we enjoy going there so much, we go there because of the consistency as well. Like, if I know I want a good, flavorful steak that, quite honestly, I don't have to go through the fuss and muss about, like, choosing between 6 different steaks that are on this menu and picking out this cut and this and that.
It was ribeye.
Right.
I mean, it was
and that's
ribeye.
It. Yeah. You go there, you say steak, then you get a salad with it, you get a potato, and you get bread, and I'm good.
Garlic bread?
Nope.
Roll.
Regular old roll. Yes.
Okay.
Don't need. I personally do not need much more than that, but I do like the fact that if that's what I'm craving, I know I'm going to go there and I'm going to be satisfied because there's no question of how it's going to taste.
Consistency.
When it's coming out, it's quick. They were fast. I've never had steak for lunch, I don't believe. So that was new for me. I do know a lot of people in Hickory that have gone to the Angus for years, and they go there for lunch to get their hamburger fix. And I could see how that could be.
Had a hamburger there.
I have had a hamburger one time there, and I was so disappointed the rest of the day. Not because the hamburger was bad, but because I loved the steak there.
Well, that's what I was saying. Like, you make me wonder how good the hamburgers could potentially be.
Oh, the hamburgers are good.
Because the steak, yeah.
Yeah, my kids like the hamburgers. My kids like the hot dogs, especially. They're split and grilled hot dogs, just good. So it's just it's easy.
Sure.
If that makes sense. It's easy. I go there. I know what I want. It tastes the same. I'm in, out, good. On weekend nights, they have music playing there. You tip a musician. That's about it. You get a little ambiance, a little Karate Kid on the TV over there. Everybody's happy.
Nice.
I love the Angus. I always give it at least an 8 out of 10.
Okay.
I enjoyed the Angus today. The chicken sandwich was great. Salad was great. Solid 5.5 out of 7.
Nice.
The steak was very good. I'm going with a 6.5 out of 10.
Okay.
And part of that is
It's got to be the price, man. Right?
with the price, and they can't help that.
Right.
I like a big steak. I had 2 choices. It definitely is a place to check out. I wish I would have also either seen or had, like Chris said, go there and check out the burgers or something like that. I mean, it's a pretty, not extensive, but they had multiple choices on there for, like, Moose got the chicken sandwich. They had all those things over there. I just honed right in on the steak and didn't even pay attention to the other stuff. So I'd love to go check it out for a burger.
Right.
Desserts?
Beer.
We didn't get that far.
I mean, not today it wasn't.
No, but they had lots of beer.
The absolute highlight of the Angus for me was whenever we were checking out, they have a sign underneath the register that says, and I quote, "Every time you don't tip the musician, a child gets a mullet." And I have, and I do have a picture of that. You're right. And I will share that in the comments after we drop this.
Nice.
Yeah.
It's it's a very, we saw people come in there that were dressed in slacks and button-ups that were obviously there on a lunch break from a business, nearby. We saw people there already sitting at the bar in their jeans and work shirts, and they were, hats on and done for the day, enjoying a beverage. It really seems like, it's the definition of local in my mind.
Yeah, I agree.
Open 6 days a week?
It is open Tuesday through Saturday. Yeah, closed on Sundays and Mondays.
Okay.
Yeah. So, again, been there since 1965. You go down Highway 70, it's on your left coming from Hickory. Just a good old-fashioned, unique place. I think it kind of embodies what we talk about
I'd
here.
not even heard of it until we started talking about this pod. And Mary-Margaret, very early on, Moose will attest, wanted to go to the Angus. And I said, okay, sure, I've never even heard of this place. So it was the first time I'd heard of it, and it definitely has that feel of being a small-town steakhouse.
Yeah.
I mean,
been around for a long time. They've probably got people that are there that really, if they want a steak, that's the only place they go.
oh, guaranteed.
I picture it that type of place, right? Yeah. But then there's that lunch crowd. Like I said, I know people that probably have never been there for dinner before, but they've been going to lunch there for once a week for ages, you know? Just as a refresher, Tuesday through Thursday, they are open 11 a.m. to 9 p.m. Only 9, okay? And then on Fridays, they're open from 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. So it's not like this is going to get some rowdy bar. I mean, these are people that are really just coming in.
It's not really the Roadhouse. I was just trying to paint a picture.
It's not that far. It's only, we're in the heart of downtown, and it took us 5 or 6 minutes to get there.
Absolutely. On Saturdays, they're open from 3 p.m. to 10 p.m. So it is a little more restricted hours, but really, I think for as long as they've been
You're going
there
to get a steak. You don't need it open at 11 a.m.
That's exactly
on a
right.
Saturday.
From the crowd they're getting, they know their audience. They know who's coming in there, and I bet you this place is full of regulars.
Yeah.
So,
And they don't need to hear from me. They've been around since 65. They cooked a good steak. I'd tell them to put a $15 sirloin on the menu, but that's just me.
obviously, since 65, they don't care what you say.
No, and if they're taking advice from me, they're in a lot of trouble.
Probably. They're still kicking. There were people in there for lunch, and I'll still go back. So they're obviously doing something right.
Yes.
We'll see. But again,
sounds like your family's at least paid for a wing of if they were going to add on.
We have converted several people as well. We have some friends that that's a once a month trip out there to the Angus is normal for them. So, Chris, are you curious and interested in trying the Angus now?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah?
The thing is, and actually, I've already talked about how I like weird movies, so I guess me thinking that this is going to be an awesome lunch date with my wife would probably not sound right to a lot of people, but I think she really likes steak. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to take her to some random place that she's never heard of, and I think she'll get a kick out of the ambiance that you guys have discussed.
Absolutely will. Like I said, it is a little time warp-ish, and I dig
amazing.
that. Yeah.
That sounds awesome.
So,
and I go back and check out the burgers or whatnot, see what else is on there.
I bet your kids would like it too. Again, hot dogs, hamburgers, so be it, chicken sandwiches, BLTs, whatnot. So everybody go check out the Angus. Woo! Goodness.
What a podcast.
That was great. Look at us.
I know,
Go
Tony.
Hickory.
That's
Go
right.
Hickory. Hey, who do we have to thank for being here today?
Again, we'd like to thank our sponsor, the Sock Factory, made in North Carolina since 1975. They have 3 lines of socks underneath their umbrella. The Crazy Compression, which is high-end compression socks. William Tucker, which are fine men's socks, and Fit Socks, which are running socks. You can find them all at thesockfactory.com.
Wonderful. Thank you, boys, for being here today. Everybody, I know, McNally, we have to twist your arm to go eat lunch and come talk on the microphone for a little bit.
Spent $30.
Your wife's going to know. Today's the day.
It's out there for the world.
She doesn't listen.
Yeah.
No, she doesn't listen, but she sees the receipts.
Excellent. Well, for everybody else that would like to know where else we go eat, obviously find us on themesh.tv, podcast network coming out of Western North Carolina. Also, you can call us at 828-619-0048 and leave us a voicemail if you have a recommendation of a place that we should try, or if you have an organization or initiative that you would like to promote here on Street Circle Drive. You can find us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram at themesh.tv. And we're all over the place. So catch us on iTunes. Be sure to subscribe to the show so that you are notified every time the new episode comes up. Guys, you got anything else for us?
And if you are a restaurant that you would like to see featured here on Street Circle Drive, we would be happy to come eat at your establishment. Just let us know, and we will come see you.
Yeah, we plug you in the episode and on the social media and stuff. So, again, give us a call and let us know. All right, guys. So until next time, we will catch you on Street Circle Drive next episode. Thank you.
You've been listening to The Mesh, an online media network of shows and programs ranging from business to arts, sports to entertainment, music to community. All programs are available on the website as well as through iTunes and YouTube. Check us out online at themesh.tv. Discover other network shows and give us feedback on what you just heard.